Hello, I'm Pastor DJ Manuel of Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church in historic Tuskegee, Alabama, and also I am the webmaster for the Auburn District Association. And this year for our district association, I'd like to share some information with you about diversifying your digital platform. Diversifying your digital platform. We have all, because of this pandemic, had the opportunity to make sure that we were streaming online or that we were utilizing social media to try to connect with our congregations. But I think that it's vitally important right now that we understand some of the risks and rewards that come with using social media, that we also understand what we need in order to have a strong digital platform and the things that we should do. So that's what I'd like to cover with you today. So the first thing I want to say to you is we just had an event that happened recently, and that event that happened, and it was all over the news, was that Facebook went down. When Facebook went down, a lot of things happened for businesses and also for churches. And I'm thankful that this outage for Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp occurred during a weekday and not on the weekends when many of us are streaming to Facebook for our worship services. And so there are just some rewards of using social media, and there are also some risks. And everybody, every church, every pastor needs to understand these things and then understand how you can avoid these risks and maximize the rewards. So let's look at the rewards. First of all, if your Facebook profile is set up properly, and it is not just a personal page that's named after your church, but instead an actual business page, you have the opportunity to advertise. And those advertisements can go out to a large audience in your community that go beyond those that are actually following you or following your church on social media. So the ability to advertise is very important. I know currently I am running a personal ad on Facebook for a workshop that I am going to be offering in November. And with that ad, in just 24 hours, it has reached the timelines on Facebook and Instagram of more than 660 people. And the cost so far for what I've spent has been something like $4. So $4 to reach that many people is a really good indicator that the advertisement is working. So advertising is one of the rewards for using social media. Another one of the rewards is marketing, that you can share what's going on with your church, your events, with your members, and also with those who will be future members as your members share it with others. So marketing is a great reason to be using the various social media platforms. Also engagement. And this is one that has become vitally important in the midst of this pandemic, that we are not gathering together in our congregations, in our church buildings like we had before. And so finding ways to engage our members is vitally important, whether it's through phone calls or emails. But social media is another way to engage, because you can get involved in conversation. You can answer questions. You can provide encouragement. And think about it this way. If a member of your church or a member of the community likes or follows your church on social media, what they're saying is they're willing to take you, your church, your ministry with them in their pocket, because everyone is using their smartphones for social media. So that's important to know, the engagement piece. Another one of the benefits, and we've talked about this in previous workshops, is that social media is free. There's no cost to using social media. And many of us are using social media because it is free, and it has been a way for us to engage without impacting the budgets of our churches. Also, it is convenient. It is convenient because you can quickly produce content and send it out. It doesn't take long to write a message or some type of post or some type of graphic to be able to send out, pictures to send out, so that people in your congregation can respond to those things. I've seen some pastors that have put their sermon points in the social media stream so that when they were preaching, point number one went up, and people were encouraged to read that point and even engaged in some conversation about that sermon point. So it's a great way for you to engage and to use the convenience of social media to reach people. I also want to tell you that it is great for donations. If you have some type of online giving platform, such as Givelify, PayPal, Tithely, if you have one of those platforms, you can share that link in social media so that people, while they're there on their smartphone and they're engaging with your church, they can click and they can make their contribution. And the beauty of it is that contribution is not just on Sundays. When you have a digital platform for giving, you will be available to receive donations throughout the week. And so it works and it's convenient for your church members. So those are some great rewards for using social media for your church. On the flip side, you also have some risks. And the risks associated with social media are, first of all, that it's volatile. And what I mean by that is that in social media, the way it works, or the way that you are experiencing social media, is the result of computer programs and equations called algorithms. And those algorithms change from time to time. If you've been on social media for any length of time, you've probably noticed that instead of you seeing everyone that you follow on Twitter, or everyone that you follow or friends with on Facebook, you're only seeing a certain number of them. You may have 500 followers and are only seeing about 30 to 40 of them. And that's because the algorithms that they use to govern how you see the content are showing you what they think you want to see. So there is some change that happens that it makes it kind of volatile. A part of that change too is that the purpose of the social media may change. And what I mean by that is, when you look at, say, the business social media LinkedIn was about collaborating and building a network. Now it's more about searching for jobs. You look at Instagram. Instagram was originally created to take photos, but since it was purchased by Facebook a few years ago, Instagram has now began to focus more on video to try to keep up with the other search engines, Snapchat and TikTok. So it has more of a video focus now than it did in the beginning. And because of that, you have to stay on your toes and make sure that you're trying to learn about these platforms and learn about the changes so that you can navigate those changes successfully to still reach your audience. Also, sometimes these social media platforms are bought or sold. Tumblr, for example, was purchased and is being sold again. Instagram was purchased. So when it changes hands, that social media platform, it could change the way that you have the experience on that social media platform. And remember, also, social media platforms, the next point is that they're temporary. They may go away. We had the social media platform Google Plus, and when you think of Google as being one of the largest internet-based and communications companies in the world, the largest search engine in the world, that also owns YouTube, Google could not get Google Plus to stay viable long enough, so they actually canceled Google Plus. So there's always a possibility that a social media platform may end because it's temporary. Also, it's limited. You only reach those that are on a particular platform. So if you're on one platform, you're only reaching those individuals who spend time in that one platform. You're not reaching those who spend time in other platforms. I also want to tell you that it's restricted, meaning that you can't change social media. You don't have any power over it to change it. You have no control over it. And what you see is what you get. And the last thing is that it's highly competitive. And we have to know that it's highly competitive in the sense that just like on Sunday mornings, you're competing to get people's attention, to draw them away from staying at home to watch the football game, or draw them away from staying at home to wash their car. You're also on social media competing against all of the things that people are watching, experiencing, and doing, all of the messages, hundreds, even thousands of messages that are coming on their timeline, and you need to stand out. So just know that social media can be highly competitive. So what do we do? How can your church avoid these risks and maximize your rewards? Well, you've got to diversify your digital platform. And I'm going to make this slide bigger so that you all can see it. And then that way you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. So diversifying your digital platform requires you to have certain materials, certain digital assets. And I want to start at the top by saying one of the first that you have to have is a website. And the reason why I'm saying a website is because your website is home base. You have control over your website. If Facebook goes down, if Instagram goes down, if Twitter goes down, even if YouTube goes down, and you have a website, you still have a place that you are in control of where people can engage with your church. And if you're on social media, you want to always be driving people back toward home base. So you need a website. Also, you need to have a multiple social media strategy, meaning that you're available and you're posting content on more than one network. Because, again, in a given day, you may see a bunch of posts on Facebook and you're missing the posts that are on Instagram, or you're missing the ones that are on Twitter. Or people in their times of day spend different times of their day on these different platforms. So having a multiple social strategy is very important, and I would tell you that you need that definitely for your church. Also, you need a multiple video strategy. If the Facebook outage had happened on a Sunday morning, thousands, tens of thousands of churches would have not been able to post their videos, to stream their live videos to Facebook, and they would not have been able to engage with their congregations. So going forward, in order for you to be successful in the digital landscape, you need a multiple video strategy, meaning you want to find video resources that allow you to stream to more than one location, or have multiple pieces of equipment to stream at various locations. Here's an example. If you have, there's a service called Boxcast. With Boxcast, as an example, you have one stream that goes to Boxcast, but Boxcast sends it to the other sources you want it to travel to. So while it's streaming live on Boxcast and maybe on your website, it can also stream to Facebook. It can also stream to YouTube Live. That way, if either one of them goes down, you still have a place where your stream is showing up. Vimeo, V-I-M-E-O. Vimeo is another service. It is a paid service, but with that paid service, just like Boxcast, you can cast or stream to multiple locations. We actually had something like that happen with our church, Greater Friendship, a few months ago, where one of the services was not available because they were having some difficulty. YouTube was having difficulty. But our members always know that they can also go to Facebook to watch our services. And if not on YouTube and Facebook, they can call in with our conference call number to listen in on the services. You need a multiple video, multiple communication strategy in order for you to get the most out of your digital platform. That's a safety net for you. Think about it also from the perspective of Zoom. Zoom will allow you to stream both to Facebook and YouTube live while you're using Zoom if you have a paid Zoom account. You also need a multiple donation strategy. The multiple donation strategy allows you to have multiple ways of receiving donations. If you're relying completely on social media, that may not be enough. If social media goes down, you need a place on your website where you can also share your social media strategy. I would also say that having more than one digital source is a great idea as well. So for example, if you're using Givelify, it may be good to have PayPal available as a backup. Or if you're using PayPal and you may decide you want to have Cash App as a backup. I would not recommend that a church or a ministry just use one particular platform for their giving, just to make sure that they're still able to receive contributions digitally. And always make the offline option available online, meaning you share on your website the address to mail in a contribution, or you share on social media the address to mail in a contribution. So make sure that you're not missing the opportunities should anything happen to your digital platform. Also, you might want to consider an email marketing strategy. If social media goes down, if the website goes down, you still have the ability to email those that are on your email list. So an email marketing strategy can be very helpful. If people subscribe to your email list, that means they're okay with receiving emails from you. And also consider these. Consider offering a newsletter to communicate with a digital newsletter to communicate with your followers. Maybe even text messaging. You can get text message services that will allow you to send mass text messages to your followers. And then you may also consider writing some content in a blog. All of these are ways that you can engage social media and begin to minimize the risks. So what should you do? We talked about what you need. What should you do? So what I want to tell you for what should we do is that, first of all, you're going to need to prioritize your platform. Prioritize your digital platform. And that's important, because if the pastor of the church or the leaders of the church do not prioritize the digital platform, then they won't engage the digital platform. And so prioritizing that digital platform means making sure it's included in all of your communications. If you print a flyer or produce a flyer and you're thinking to put it in the mail, well, you should also consider putting that flyer on your website and on social media. If you're producing a graphic or a flyer and you're putting it on social media, you need to also consider putting it on your website. That way, that same content is available in multiple places. You want to be able to reach as many people as possible. As the Apostle Paul said, "I become all things to all men, that by all means I might save some." So this gives us an opportunity to make sure we prioritize and make it not an afterthought, but one of the first things we think about when we're saying we want to diversify our digital platform. So you may have to, in the midst of prioritizing it, you may have to designate a person that they have that responsibility. You may have to put some processes in place that say, hey, when our church secretary or our church clerk or whoever is producing the letters or producing the flyers, that they automatically know every time they produce something, it needs to get sent to the media ministry or to the social media manager for your church or your ministry. And so you want to make sure that you designate someone that you can recruit for that purpose and recruit multiple people. That way you always have a backup. Second thing you want to do is clarify your message. Make sure that what you're communicating is clear. Make sure that it is reflective of your church, reflective of the vision you have for your church. When you're communicating on social media and on your website, you want that communication to be clear. The next thing is I want to tell you you need to create business accounts. This is vitally important. It is important because there have been instances where I have seen churches and ministries go to, say, Facebook and create a personal account and then just name that account after their church. And so the church is not set up like a business, and instead people are able to friend the church instead of liking the church. When that happens, then that means everything that the church is posting and everything that other people are posting shows up in the church's timeline. You don't want that to happen. If someone has an argument on Facebook, you don't want to see that in the church's timeline. If someone decides they want to tag the church on something that's inappropriate, you don't want to see that in your church's timeline. So you want to make sure you set up business accounts. Also, you have to have a business class account, a business/organization account with social media in order to buy advertising. And so you want to make sure that you have that ability to not only buy the advertising, but to see the analytics. Who's been visiting? How many people have been visiting? How often have they come by? How many minutes did they watch of the videos? Or how many times did they share the post that was put on your social media profile? You want to make sure that you are in a position where you have a business account, so you have some real information to help you make good decisions. Also, I want to tell you to format properly. Think about this. Social media, formatting correctly, if you're posting to social media, it's just like you're putting something in a newspaper. And if you're going to put something in a newspaper, you're going to spell check it several times. You're going to check it for grammar errors several times before you send it to the newspaper to be printed. Churches should do the same with social media. Make sure that you put the information on there, things are spelled correctly, the grammar is correct, that your images are appropriate, that your videos are appropriate, because this is your public face. When you're on social media, on your website, whatever you're doing on your digital platform, it's out there for everyone to see. So make sure that you are formatting correctly. And your images. If you're going to post pictures to social media, make sure those pictures are not only appropriate, but that they're the right sizes. And you can search on Google and ask the question, what are the right sizes for Facebook images, or what are the right sizes for Instagram images? That way, all of your images fit neatly in social media, they look good, and you'll get a better response. The next thing I want to tell you is that you've got to grow your audience. Once you create that business account on Instagram, once you create that business account in Twitter, once you create that business account in Facebook, you want to make sure that you're sharing it. You see a lot of commercials on television where companies are saying, like us on Facebook, or follow us on social media. You have to actively grow your audience. Now, there are some things you can do with paid advertisements to also grow your audience, strictly for the purposes of getting new followers or getting likes. But you have to talk about it regularly. You have to communicate it regularly. On Sunday morning, in your bulletin, on your letters, make sure that you're always recruiting people to follow and be a part of your digital platform, whether it's your website or whether it's social media, to subscribe, to join, to like, to follow, whatever the case may be. Make sure that you're growing your audience. That way you know how many people are getting the information. Also, I want to tell you to engage strategically, meaning there are some times that are just the best time to post information. Posting information, just saying we're having Bible study tonight on Wednesday, may not be the best strategic option. You may need to post that information on Tuesday or on Monday to let people know and make them aware, put it on their minds that Bible study is coming up and that they need to engage with your church for Bible study. Same thing with Sunday morning worship. And you want to communicate and engage early. If you're having an event in November, you want to start publicizing that event in September to make sure you get enough eyes on it, and you want to engage regularly, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, to get that information about your event, to get a lot of eyes on it so people can make plans to be a part of it. Also, I want to tell you to be human. If you're going to be on social media, don't be cold, be human, be a person, be relatable, be authentic. Engage in conversations. Engage in the encouragement. When you see words of encouragement from your church members, like it. When people are subscribing to your email list and they do something like give electronically, send them a message every once in a while. Or maybe just for the first time somebody gives, send them an email saying thank you so much for the contribution you made through our church website or through social media. These are ways that you can be human and be relatable to people as you're engaging your digital platform. I also want to tell you, you've got to drive people to your home base. Your home base is your website. Even though social media may change, and not only change, but some of the information you put on social media disappears after a while, meaning it goes so far down after about 2 hours, 3 hours, or maybe after a day or so, it goes so far down the timeline that people have to scroll to try to find the information. But if the information is on your website, it's right there. Your service times are right there. Ways that you can give, it's right there. They don't have to hunt for it. Ways that people can engage, it's all right there at your home base. So you want to be driving people to your church website. You want to make sure that when you're even posting on social media, that you share links to the church website where people can get more information about how to become a member of your church, or what to do if they're a first-time visitor. So make sure that you're driving people to home base. And lastly, I want to tell you it's a great idea for you to use management tools. And with management tools, there are a lot of them out there that will allow you to post in one application that will send to multiple social media platforms, or send one email and that email goes to multiple social media platforms as well. It will save you time if you use a service like MailChimp, which is free. You can craft your emails, design your emails, and connect it to your social media. And when you send the email, allow it to send directly to your social media accounts. You can use Constant Contact. It is a paid service, but it is also email marketing. You can use a service called Hootsuite. Hootsuite, with a free account, will allow you to add 3 social media accounts in there, and you can schedule and plan when you want certain messages to go out on social media, and it will send to all of those social media accounts. There's also Buffer and another one called Sprout Social. So there are management tools out there designed to help you so that this is not overwhelming. But just remember, having all of your eggs in one basket is not a good idea. When Facebook went down, so many people, Instagram went down, and WhatsApp, when those applications went down, people lost a lot of money. Businesses did. They lost money because they could not advertise and they could not get sales, especially those that were only dealing with one platform. If you're a church and you're only dealing with one platform, I encourage you to please diversify. Diversify so that there's always a way for you to be safe, to make sure people can still engage with your church. I pray that it does not happen to us. I pray that it does not happen to your church, that Facebook has another outage on a Sunday morning. If you're only streaming to Facebook, that's going to be a problem. Get a website, get another streaming service to go along with Facebook so that your messages, the gospel of Jesus Christ, can still go forward and be a blessing to those who will hear it. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk with you about diversifying your digital platform. If you've got questions, you can always contact me, Pastor DJ Manuel. I can be reached through my website, www.emmanuelbiz.com. I'll be glad to talk with you, glad to help you, and help steer you and your media ministry in the right direction. Have a wonderful, wonderful association.